What's going on, everybody? We are back, episode number 36 of the Club and Sub podcast. Tonight we got UFC 257, McGregor versus Poirier. We are joined by Andrew, aka MMA Knockout Bets on Twitter. What is it, Bets and Tips MMA or Bets and Picks MMA?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Tonight we got myself, John Stargarian at MMA Fox, Luke at SWR_betting, and C at CHanson10. We're going to break down the card in full. And yeah, I'm pretty excited. Obviously, it's a great card, and it's an all-time main event. So we'll jump right in. We got Amir Albazi, Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Andrew, you want to start here?
Yeah, I don't have too much to contribute here. I bet Albazi in his last fight, but I think this is probably going to be a pass for me. I don't have strong feelings about it.
Yeah. I feel similarly. I like Zhalgas a bit. Well, I kind of favor him a bit here, but I think the line's more or less right. Doesn't have much finishing upside, but I do think he's maybe the cleaner minute winner. But Albazi, probably the better finisher, a little better output. So, yeah, pass for me as well. Luke, how about you?
Yeah, so I had a bet on a decent-sized bet on Paiva over Zhumagulov. Might have gotten a bit lucky on that one, even in full transparency, going back and watching it. I thought Zhumagulov won the fight, to be completely honest. I don't think it was necessarily a robbery like a lot of people are saying, though. It was a pretty close fight. But at the end of the day, I still generally don't value his game very highly just because he's not overtly high output. He doesn't really throw in combinations. He's kind of like a single shot guy. But even in doing so, he's pretty accurate in his shots. Will go to the leg kick. I guess where I give a little bit of credence to Albazi here and his willingness to kind of attempt takedowns. And we have seen Zhumagulov struggle in that realm. But he's also been facing a lot of tough Russians in doing so. So it's kind of where do you rate Albazi's wrestling in that sense? And he is a guy who's pretty aggressive on top too. And Zhumagulov's a pretty tough guy to get out of there. So it's kind of one of these spots where I'm actually going to pick Zhumagulov just because he's such a tough guy. But it's a pretty close fight where I didn't give him enough credit in his last outing, and he might be able to put a moderate bigger vet lesson on here. But from a betting perspective, yeah, I don't like it. I think a moderate slight lean to either guy is fair, but I want no part of it.
Yeah, any opinion here from you?
I actually haven't finished this completely, but I do kind of like Albazi as a dog or pick 'em. I got a little bit more work to do, but that's kind of like my leanings so far. Also, why is Jose Torres randomly just lost got knocked out by Perez and then was cut after being like fucking 25-0, like between amateurs and like pro? Just kind of odd.
Albazi was on his way to win that fight too, by the way, and completely blew it.
Yeah, and I mean Torres is like decent. He's not bad.
Yeah, he also won against the Monkey King when he knocked himself out. But anyway, we will move on. Got Movsar Evloev, Nick Lentz. I parlayed square-ass parlay Evloev with Sumaderji last week. So it's the second leg of it. He's minus by 550 now. Not really worth playing unless maybe you stab the decision line. But more or less think he has Lentz covered wherever this goes. I think Lentz's best shot is probably guillotine. I'd be surprised if he hits it, though. And I'd be pretty surprised if he contends much on the feet. Barzola gave Evloev some fits on the feet, but I think at this point in their careers, Barzola's a bit faster and more athletic than Lentz. Just offers a bit more on the feet than Lentz does these days. So, yeah, I think I don't want to say Evloev's a lock. There's no such thing as a lock. But I feel like he's got him covered everywhere. Luke, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm on Evloev by decision at minus 130 for a unit and a half. Yeah, not too much to add. I kind of think he has him covered everywhere. Evloev has shown like some finishing upside. I think he's finished about half of his wins, but Lentz is a guy historically that's proven to be pretty durable. And, Evloev isn't necessarily a guy that's hunting subs per se, at least in recent years. He's kind of more of your control, ride you type guy. The Barzola fight was definitely a little disconcerting. But what I will say, at least in the credit of Evloev and Barzola historically, just being like a scrambly type guy, who's going to, kind of be in there for a full 15 minutes. I don't necessarily think that Lenz has that. I think he only defends takedowns at like 50% or something like that. So I think the takedowns of Evloev are going to be there. I think he probably also outstrikes him on the feet. Lenz is just a historical punching bag, but also, a guy who's moderately durable too, who can come forward. So maybe I eat it and Evloev finishes him, but I just really don't see it. I think it's a great spot for Evloev.
See?
Yeah, Evloev by decision. Lentz is probably pretty hopeless here, so don't really see much Lentz upside. I think Evloev like 92% is probably reasonable.
Andrew, how about you?
Yeah, I just want to point out how the strength of schedule of Nick Lentz is like insane if you look at it. Like he's fighting Evloev this weekend, who's a monster. He's fought Rubang Oliveira 3 times. He's fought Scott Holtzman, Arnold Allen, Islam Makhachev. Like the list goes on and on. He's fought a freaking list of killers. He needs to get a new manager or something. But I pretty much agree with what you guys said. I think Evloev probably wins here. I like that decision play too. I think Lentz is tough to put away. I mean, unless you're Charles Oliveira, who puts everyone away. But yeah, Evloev probably gets the win here.
Yeah, Lentz is a gangster. Next up, we got fun fight. We got the middleweight division. We got Andrew Sanchez taking on Mahmoud Muradov. Luke, what do you got here?
Yeah, so I know me and John are going to be on opposite sides here, but I got a small play on Muradov for a unit and a half at -125. And, this isn't one that I love in general. Hashtag why, my unit size is down a little bit more so. But largely my reasoning is I feel like he's just going to struggle with the length, outside movement, and speed of Muradov, because I think that's probably where me and John might part ways a little bit, where, obviously Sanchez is, historically going to go to that wrestling grinding style. So I definitely see upside for Sanchez potentially there if that's what's to happen and Sanchez is able to win this fight. I think he's got to make it greasy, grindy, wear on him, because we have seen Muradov slow down a little bit. But I guess my angle on it is I really think that Andrew Sanchez is going to struggle to close distance on Muradov. I think the bigger moments are going to come from Muradov. So I don't necessarily think that, we've even talked about how Sanchez's boxing is underrated, but I don't think, that moderately stationary level, crisp type boxing is going to work against a guy in Muradov. I think he more so needs to have success in the counter game when Muradov comes in. I think that's more so his path in terms of the striking, but I think he gets beat at space here at a pretty decent clip. So we'll see.
Yeah, fair. See, how about you? Anything here?
Don't really like Sanchez striking defense. I don't know. Sanchez is okay. When you look at who he's beaten, it's kind of just, bottom, I guess, tier type fights that are all right. Muradov, not really in love with, but he throws volume, and I think he has a little bit better defense. So I don't know. It's kind of just a pass for me, but I think Muradov's the side. I just don't really want to play it.
Andrew, how about you?
Yeah, I feel kind of similar to that. I was on Sanchez in his last fight against Turman at like +145, but Muradov's definitely the better striker. I think it's pretty much going to come down to can Sanchez get takedowns here and can he hold him down? Because I think if it's on the feet, Muradov will probably run away with it. Just not enough tape for me to feel super confident in Muradov's takedown defense. His fights in the UFC, it hasn't really been tested much, and when it was by Trevor Smith, who nothing against Trevor Smith, but he's not top of the list of competition. So I guess if I were to pick a side, I'd pick Muradov here at evens, but I don't have any bets on the fight at the moment.
Yeah, I bet Sanchez for a unit plus 112. There's better than that out there right now. It's not particularly confident, to be honest, but it's more. I mean, we saw Muradov have a pretty close fight with Jericho, who I would rate somewhat significantly behind Sanchez. I just kind of think Sanchez can keep it close standing, to be honest. He traditionally has been pretty hard to outvalue. The only guy outside of the James fight where he just died after a round to really do it is Vittori, and I rate Vittori pretty highly, to be honest. And so I'm not saying Muradov can't do it. If the kickboxing match in range for 15 minutes, I would slightly favor Muradov, but some questions about Muradov's cardio. To your point, Andrew, some questions about his wrestling and how he'll hold up in the clinch here. Sanchez loves to go to that cage push game. So I slightly favor Sanchez, just kind of on strength schedule. And I think the striking will be close enough that if he does proactively wrestle, he could look like a slight favorite. But yeah, not super confident. We move on. We got Khalil Roundtree, Marcin.
And just to add on real quick, John.
Yeah.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
No.
Yeah, just at least in terms of the takedowns, like obviously that's a component of the fight, but at least in terms of when guys have shot in on him, I feel like he underhooks well. He gets his hips away. He gets off of the fence. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't disagree necessarily. But yeah, we got Roundtree, Prochnio. C, any opinion here?
Roundtree has the mental makeup of Tom Breeze, maybe worse. And I'm not laying that type of chalk on Khalil Roundtree ever. I'm also never playing Tom Breeze ever again in my life. Hopefully the UFC cuts him. But I don't know. Khalil could come out here and do his Muay Thai type shit and have that heavy fucking and fucking throw some leg kicks, this and that, and post USADA victim Marcin, or Khalil could just fucking collapse because he gets hit once and then he's all emotional about whatever the fuck he's emotional about. So yeah, pass.
Andrew,
Isn't this his retirement fight too, or something like that?
I remember hearing that, but
he said he was going to retire, and then he signed a 4-fight win streak because I don't know. There's nobody fucking 6'3", 270 pounds in Thailand to fight.
Yeah, I don't know. I think C pretty much nailed it. I think Roundtree's gonna win. I have no interest at all in playing minus 330 on him here. I don't have interest in playing Prochnio, who's somehow still in the UFC. I mean, I guess I'm just looking at the prop odds here. Even Roundtree KO is minus 185. It's probably the most likely outcome of playing minus 185 on a KO prop like that. It's not really my style.
Yeah, I completely agree. Do you guys remember for that 6-month period before he fought Kudalaba where Joe Rogan convinced the world that Khalil Roundtree was the light heavyweight Conor McGregor?
Dude, I bet on him in that fight and I was so mad.
Dude, so in consecutive fights, I laid the juice against Olasejic. I bet Gokhan Saki. I bet Roundtree against Johnny Walker, and I bet Eric Andrews against Roundtree. It was disastrous. And looking at this fight, do I have the balls to bet Marcin Prochnio? No.
I want you to.
I went to bed last night and I looked at this prop in bed and I saw Roundtree KO 1 plus 180, and I was like, that's probably the way this fight ends most of the time. And then I woke up and decided to play it, and it was plus 110. So no, not playing anything here. I kind of feel the same way as Andrew and C. I pretty much think if Roundtree doesn't kill him in one of the opening exchanges, Prochnio becomes very, very live. Kind of one of those things. If you have FanDuel or one of those sites that does in-round live betting, then maybe take a look at, because Roundtree's probably going to land. Maybe you get plus 400 on Prochnio at the 2-minute mark or 1-minute mark, and a pretty good idea of where the fight's going. But yeah, dumpster fire, but at least it should be fun. Move on. We got Sarah McMahon taking on Juliana Pena. Andrew, anything here?
Hold up, bro.
Yeah.
Hold up, bro. I got a bet on the Roundtree Prochnio fight.
Oh, sorry. I forgot. I didn't go to you, Luke. My bad.
No worries. But yeah, actually biggest bet of the card. I got 3 units on the under 1.5 at -150. To me, I'd be shocked if this fight gets out of the first round. I really would, because I even went back to the Eric Anders fight, and like obviously that one went extended, but Eric Anders is tough as shit, and if you actually go back to it too, he dropped Anders 3 times within the first 7.5 minutes of the fight. Prachnio closes distance absolutely terribly. And one thing I will give Khalil credit for, I mean, he's fast and he hits hard. But then conversely, I'm also not, laying the chalk on Khalil or playing a Khalil prop. With that, he's very defensively flawed too. Prachnio comes and he'll swing, and so to me, it's a fight that hits under 1.5 at a very solid clip.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I don't think it gets out of the first round in all likelihood, but we'll see. So yeah, Andrew, McMahon Pena, hit me with it.
Okay, so I finally have a little bit of like fun opinions here. So I think it's pretty obvious McMahon's going to get takedowns here. I think pretty much anyone who knows their game can kind of concede that. But I think it's going to be really interesting once it gets down to the ground. I honestly think this is a spot where like Pena could get a guard sub or McMahon could just brutalize her from top. Like I think both these girls are actually going to have a shot to finish on the ground. Like it's not really going to be as much of like a lay and pray situation. Like it could be, I guess, but I feel like Pena is going to be pretty aggressive off her back. And I took a shot at Pena's submission at plus 850. Have a little on the under 2.5 too. I just think there's going to be a lot of action grappling here, and kind of whoever can really like impose what they want to do here on the ground is going to win the fight, and I think it's going to have a decent shot to finish. I think Pena sell at plus 850 was a good play, and I like the under still at plus money. I think there's going to be some opportunities to finish here.
Yeah, fair. I mean, to be honest, I think McMahon opened a dog here like a month ago whenever this was first booked, and like I'd actually have some real interest in her as a dog, to be honest, because I do agree she's going to hit takedowns pretty much whenever she wants. And I hate to go into the narrative thing, but like the Marion, like even more than the Ketlin fight, the Marion Renault fight, and even the Lauren Murphy fight bothered me so much for how much activity she allowed on the ground there and how poorly she seemed to react to it. So I got to look at what submission plus points is. That might be interesting. But I don't have a ton of interest in laying the juice with McMahon. And the under might be – what price did you get on the under, Andrew?
I think it was like plus 180. Let me check.
That's not bad.
I got plus 180.
Yeah, that's not bad. I might look at that. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like McMahon, I could easily see her arm triangling her, or guard sub happening. But yeah, it should be interesting. Luke, what do you think?
Yeah, I originally went into it thinking I was going to have a bet on McMahon, and after watching tape on it, I just decided to pass on it in general. It's just one of those spots where it seems like so clear for Sarah, but at the end of the day, I also don't think it's like so clear too, because obviously Pena struggles with the takedowns, but she is, active, at least off of her back and trying to work back up. That's like kind of the issue I had and why I was potentially going in to look to bet McMahon is that, Juliana Pena really hasn't had like a complete performance. Like she's just like losing partial points of the fight, and then she'll come on like against Nico. Even Kat Zingano had some success early on her, and then she kind of pulled her head and gave it a shake, came back. So it's one of those spots where I think McMahon should win. The path is clear, but Juliana's going to be aggressive off her back, as Andrew touched on. On the feet, I think it's pretty close. I think McMahon probably lands the more powerful, accurate shots, but at the end of the day, McMahon's also like allergic to pressure on the feet too. So I think Pena can make it a scrappy fight. I think a slight lean to McMahon is fair, but yeah, I don't hate Andrew's stance on the under 2.5 at a big plus number. That's something I'm actually to take a peek at.
See, how about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty annoyed with just this line in general. I had her at like plus 105 before they changed the date of the fight, and they just fucking cancel your bets And then Chiesa and Magny's changed from 3 to 5, and they're like, yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry. Like, what? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's true.
It's like, okay, they changed by 3 days and you cancel the bet, but they changed 2 rounds, which is way more significant, and you just keep it. But yeah, I don't know. That's beside the point. Anyway, I played McMahon pretty big here. Honestly, I don't really buy much of like Pena just in general. I don't really think she's good per se. I guess she could attack some things off her back, but I guess the thing with McMahon is she kind of gets a bad rep for quitting. And I'd say that the only fight that I really think she quit in is the Vieira fight. Like Renault, Nunez, she was hurt on the feet fucking really bad before she got triangled there. Like she was stunned, pretty much dazed. So I don't really think McMahon's getting guard subbed by Juliana Pena because one, I don't really buy Pena as a grappler just in general, and two, like I don't know, it's like this is like a pretty easy, like I shouldn't say easy, but like you have pretty much everything in front of you. Juliana Pena cannot stuff takedowns to save her life. Okay, McMahon. I mean, has she ever been swept? I don't think so. She's gonna grind out Pena. She's better in the clinch. She's stronger. I just don't really see like any way how you could cap Pena like close to 50% here. I think McMahon's about 70% range. And yeah, she's got 40 going on her age thing. But she's like physical. Plus, it's like women's MMA, so they're going to fade. It's going to take them a little bit longer to fade, especially when it's a grappling heavy fight. And I just don't really see where Pena is going to have success. Like McMahon was like minus 275 versus Vieira. And for 6.5 minutes, honestly, she's going to win that fight without that fucking takedown from the clinch. It was kind of just a random sequence of events where she ended up on her back. So, like, I guess my question would be, if Vieira was fighting Pena, what would you line her at? Because McMahon legitimately for 7 minutes was fucking looking like a minus 400 there.
Yeah, agreed. So we move on. We have a fun one in the middleweight division. We got Brad Tavares coming back and taking on Shoeface Antonio Carlos Jr. I'll be honest, I really don't have a strong opinion on this fight. It seems quite binary. Like either Tavares can withstand the grappling, in which case he's going to look like a huge favorite, or he can't, in which case Shoeface is probably going to look like a huge favorite. I tried to dig deep into the grappling of Tavares. There's just not a lot there. He got taken down a couple times by Theodoro, but it was kind of random, and he seemed to do the right things. But the grappling sequences weren't enough for me to feel strongly one way or another. And then you have to go back to I don't know, Aaron Simpson to see any other times he was actually taken down. And I don't know, I have a feeling he might be okay, but just not a strong enough opinion. And I kind of think to bet this on either side of evens, you need a pretty strong opinion on it. And I just don't. It wouldn't shock me if Shoeface is hindsight minus 200 or Tavares is the same. So, yeah, no opinion, no bet for me. I just don't really have a strong read. Luke, how about you?
Yeah, so ACJ was sitting plus 130, and I was really considering it, but yeah, man, I think it's like a pick'em fight, to be honest. And it's one of those fights where honestly I wanted ACJ plus 150 if I was to bet it, because I think that was kind of the side. And then we've kind of seen some ACJ money come in. But yeah, I mean, Brad Tavares has, elite level takedown defense. But at the end of the day, Antonio Carlos Jr. is probably one of the best grapplers in the division, and just ultimately one of those guys that you just can't make small mistakes against really at all. So there's merit to say that, Tavares stuffs takedowns here, and because he is the better striker, the better boxer. But I think there's also merit to say that, even despite Tavares having elite level takedown defense, we could just see, even funky exchange against the cage, backpack, leg lock type thing like that. And ACJ is the guy who can do that type of shit. So also a guy who's got a pretty good single leg. We saw Elias dump him with the single leg a couple times as well. Granted, Tavares kind of, pop back up. Like you said, John did the right things. But then again, ACJ is also a much better grappler than Elias Theodorou, who can, kind of level and chain that stuff together too. So it's honestly probably the one fight on the card out of a lot of them that I have the most intrigue on in terms of who comes out on top. Important to note, Tavares is coming off blown ACL as well, but I guess he's been 100% for like the last 7 or 8 months going full speed. But just a fun little note for the fight. But yeah, no bet for me, but I'm actually going to go with the dog in ACJ.
See, how about you?
Yeah, I stabbed ACJ. Nothing crazy. I just put a unit on him. I think he has obviously he has the grappling upside. So just in general, I think there's a better path for him to look, pretty significant favorite than there is Brad. He'll attempt takedowns and very high level grappler. Don't mind any type of sub props, because I do kind of feel like it's one of those situations that like you see like time and time again where like grapplers are like whatever like looking hindsight favorite probably means that like their sub prop has quite a bit of value, and it's like you might rather just take plus 450 or plus 500 or whatever ACJ is by sub. Just because I think if he does get a takedown or 2 takedowns, whatever it might be over the course of the fight, like the sub's going to look pretty opportunistic and probably look like value. Even if he just has one deep sub, I mean, at plus 400, that's really all you could hope for is just one deep attempt. So don't hate it.
Andrew?
Speaking of which, I had Chiesa sub yesterday plus 500 and Chiesa inside distance plus 360. So that was like a 10-unit swing. But you're right with the whole thing. I was going to say that I think there's actually value again on the under here. I think that they both have it's a pretty binary fight, like you mentioned earlier. And I think Tavares has underrated power. I wouldn't be surprised if he can keep this on the feet. I think he could beat up ACJ on the feet. And I think if you guys know how it is, if ACJ gets him down to the mat, it could be over pretty quick, like after that. So I think the under 2.5, which is like plus 165, I think the Tavares KO I think is plus 500, and then ACJ sub I think is plus 400. I haven't played any of those yet, but I'm honestly considering all 3 of those. I think that there's value in all 3 of those.
Yeah, I don't mind that. We move on. We got one of the more fun fights of the evening here to cap off the prelims. Again, kind of odd they're putting it on the prelims. We got Arman Tsarukyan taking on Nasrat Haqparast.
I forgot to show that earlier, but I got my Covington shirt on, baby.
Luke, Tsarukyan, Haqparast, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll start out off the top by saying I like both guys. I'm a fan of both guys. Both guys are young, talented prospects. I think Tsarukyan's 24, Haqparast 25. But I'm going to also say off the top too, I think Haqparast is being extremely undervalued here. I don't really know how you can justify a 75% price tag on Tsarukyan. Like, I get it. He came in, had the fight with Makhachev, probably gave Makhachev a lot more fits than pretty much anybody he's fought. But I guess partially my counter to that is also where I think that's also another reason why people love him. It's somewhat even influencing the line here. Completely different stylistic matchup. Conversely, on the other side of the coin, I think Haqparast is the best striker that Tsarukyan has ever fought. And people go back to the Marcin Held fight or whatever, where he was, held down and struggled there. But then he goes and fights Munoz, the head wrestling coach at Team Alpha Male. Guy wrestled at Oklahoma State. And Munoz went 1 for 8 on him. I'm not saying it's necessarily apples to apples. I think Arman's master of sport and Greco. There's that too. But From what I've seen from him in the UFC, I think we even talked about it a little bit, John. I don't think from like a pure takedown perspective, he's necessarily great. I think he's a decent grinder in that sense, and then he's got that whole Tiger Muay Thai thing going for him too. I think he manages distance well. He's pretty accurate what he throws, tight and crisp. But then hack press, southpaw, throws from funky angles, has power, is accurate, high output, lands over 5.5 significant strikes per minute. And we saw, even OAM give him a little bit of fits on the feet, especially even in the second round. Hurt him with the knee, had some success with the body kick. I think hack press can make this fight an interesting one. I'm not saying that hack press should be capped the favorite. I capped Arman the favorite, but I don't know, man. After watching the tape, I don't really know how you can justify Arman at 75%. So I haven't bet it yet because I think we're going to see more Arman money come in. I think we might even see hack press get up to plus 300 on such a casual card, right or wrong. But I will be betting hack press.
See.
Yeah, I played hack press. I think Arman should be the favorite. I don't think like Arman shouldn't be the favorite or anything. Kind of think it's should be lined a little bit closer. Arman obviously has grappling upside. I don't really think that he's shown the ability to just really have that great of control in his offensive wrestling. It's questionable, I guess. But he does attempt takedowns. I mean, I think versus OAM, he attempted 9 or 10. Do like the way he level changes, but I guess my thing here is they're both at an age where really big improvements over the course of a short period of time wouldn't surprise me for either person. I mean, they're 24 and 25. So you could just randomly have pretty big level up in your game over the course of 4 or 5 months. And my thing with Nas is I think he looked better versus Nunez. At least we saw him, stuff some takedowns. In versus OAM, I think OAM. My problem with Nas, I guess, for me betting him a little bit more is that he doesn't really, throw kicks or knees. He's mostly just head hunting, boxing. And I think Arman's really I think if Nas used some kicks, knees, it'd be really good because OAM was fucking tagging Arman to the body with those kicks. But yeah, I mean, I think there's value on Nas at the current line. I also think him by decision's not bad. Plus 550. Arman just strikes me as someone who's probably extremely durable. I don't have anything to back that. I just think that he's probably one of those guys who can eat some shots. So, yeah.
Andrew?
Yeah, I played Arman back when he was minus 178 for 3 units, so I got on that pretty early. I think he's the better fighter here. I think he has more ways to win. Obviously, like you guys mentioned, being young, both these guys have upside, but I think Haqparas's win condition is more limited. I think he's going to need to hurt Arman to do that. And at minus 178, I think the correct line is probably what it is right now. I wouldn't bet Arman at this price, but I think that minus 250, minus 275 is probably about right.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm actually on Nasrat as well. The truth is, if he hasn't improved his bottom game since the Held fight, there's a good chance that Arman lands 2 to 3 takedowns and he gets washed out. But, he was 21 when the Held fight happened. Unfortunately, and this is probably why the line is as wide as it is, there's not a whole lot of tape on Nasrat grappling in the time since. Munoz got him down once, got up right away, looked pretty good doing it. But again, how much do you take from it? I guess I'm more or less of the opinion that Arman's an elite defensive grappler and an elite scrambler. But, C and Luke kind of touched on it. I'm not totally sold on his offensive takedown game yet. 2 for 11 against Oban Mercier. Not Mercier's a bad defensive grappler, but it's not he's not Islam or Khabib and going to go and wash you out on the ground generally. And standing, I do get a little worried about Arman playing the all the way out, all the way in game with him and just kind of keeping him off balance for 15 minutes. But I guess ultimately I sort of lean Nasrat in the stand-up, and it's possible that Arman looks hindsight minus 400 if there have been no improvements from Nasrat. But like C touched on it a bit at 25, and the one time we saw him really get grappled bad was at 21. It's a lot of time to make improvements here. I kind of see it as Arman about 60%. I mean, we'll see, but I have 2 units on Nasrat right now at plus 220. And we move on. We have, speaking of grappler versus striker, we got Marina Rodriguez and Amanda Ribas. C, any opinion here?
Yeah, I played Marina. Yeah, I'm kind of on the like fade Ribas train until I get some money back. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like a given that Ribas is going to be able to take her down. Most of hers takedowns come, from a trip or in the clinch. Singles and doubles, I haven't really seen too much from Amanda. So my take is more that like Marina, like on the feet, she's elite. Who does that to Tisha Torres? Pretty much nobody, other than like Zhang and Joanna. And honestly, I think Marina put it on her much worse than they did. And like if you're playing Ribas, I know a couple people have taken her by sub, and like that's another one of those scenarios where like, yeah, if she does take her down, like sub probably looks like a pretty 45% outcome or something. Yeah, I could go homeless on this, but I don't know. Honestly, like I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a draw here. She tends to, take advantage of what happens on the feet. She hurts people. There's a damage factor. She'll slice you. She'll cut you. Like if a draw happened and there's one fight that it's going to happen on, I see it being this fight. But yeah, I mean, I took a stab at Marina. I think I have like 1.5 units on her, like plus 270. I think the line's kind of crazy. It just kind of implies that like Ribas is gonna, insta grapple fucker, and if that's the case, then you might as well just be playing the sub. So that's my thoughts.
Andrew?
Yeah, I put Ribas sub at like plus 340. I think if she commits to the grappling game plan here, then like you said, like the sub, like why play minus? Like the reason for, in my opinion, for her justifying minus 350 or whatever she is would be her going with a grappling heavy game plan. And if she goes with the grappling heavy game plan, sub prop plus 340, I feel like it's the better play here. I mean, I get it. Like Ribas is saying some weird stuff leading up to the fight, but I try not to put too much into that. Like saying she wants to prove she's a good striker. If she has 2 brain cells to rub together, she'll start getting the grappling going early. And yeah, so I not a crazy big play or anything, but I took a stab at Ribas sub plus 340.
Yeah, fair. C pretty much took most of the breakdown out of my mouth. Like what I'll say is Marina Rodriguez was minus 185 or closed near minus 200 against Carla Esparza. I bet Carla against her fairly confidently because we've seen she doesn't deal with people who go to her legs very well. Carla is a pretty fucking good wrestler. The style of wrestling between Carla and Ribas, at least to date, from what we've seen to date, isn't really comparable. Like Ribas is mostly upper body takedown attempts and throws, whereas, I mean, you look at that's what Tisha tried to do to Marina, and she had almost no success with it. Now, I do think Ribas probably better at it than Tisha. And look, at the end of the day, if she can hit those takedowns, that's a wrap. She's going to wash her out on the ground, like much worse than Carla. But I don't think it's necessarily a given. I'm with you, Andrew. I don't put too much stock in her saying so much. And I agree that like sub is probably the way to play Ribas. But on the feet, I honestly think it's going to be pretty one-way traffic. Like I get Ribas' striking stats are nice. And look, I put a lot of stock in stats. But like Randa Marcos, Mackenzie Dern, Emily Whitmire, like, come on. Like that's not – they're just not comparable. Yeah, so like I kind of think this is like my confidence interval in capping the fight's not very high. Like you could convince me it's anywhere from even money to Rodriguez favorite to Ribas minus 800 in hindsight. So yeah, I took a half unit on Rodriguez plus 270. I might stab them Ribas subline as well, but Yeah, I think it really all comes down to, can she hit those takedowns against Rodriguez, or does she have other takedowns in the arsenal? I guess we'll see. Luke, how about you?
So I took a little a little bit on the Ribas sub as well. So it's just another one of these scenarios where I understand where the Rodriguez bets come from, but it's one of those spots as well where I feel like if she gets taken down and like the same thing happens again, you're just like, well, why the fuck did I bet this? And you do make valid points in the sense that, we haven't seen, Ribas hitting, these big blast doubles or these big singles, but she is a judo black belt. She has hit these throws. And I guess this is also where we kind of butt heads a little bit on this, John, in terms of the clinch, where Marina is obviously very good in the clinch. But I think Ribas also has that game where I don't think Rodriguez is just going to frame her off and completely beat her up, and Ribas is going to stand there. I think she dumps her on her head in the clinch personally. And then even in terms of, like, we want to talk about, she's went to the head and arm throw a little bit. Well, Marina Rodriguez did get head and arm throwed by Randa Marcos and then shortly mounted thereafter too. So there's just, I don't know, there's too many data points to me that suggests that Marina just can't grapple. And then coupled with the fact that Ribas is actually one of the few girls where she's fighting that actually is going to look to pass and attack submissions, where Carla kind of just sat in the guard of Marina and then took a beating there. That's just one thing I've seen consistently from Ribas in the sense that she's at least looking to pass. That's been pretty open for her to do so. So listen, I'm not saying, lay minus 300 on her. I just think the path to victory is there. Maybe Marina has leveled up, but it's one of those spots. It's like, I just can't put a cent on the girl until she's shown me something. But one thing I will definitively say, if she is able to shore up this part of her game, Marina doesn't need to be some black belt, some high level. Like, to me, I think Marina can just take like a Joanna archetype where she just has a really good elite get up game. She can be defensively responsible on bottom. She can dig underhook, stuff takedowns, and then just beat girls to a pulp on their feet. I think if she can do that, honestly, I think Marina Rodriguez is a top 3 girl at 115. But until we see that, I'm going to continue to, be a little lower on her because she gets taken down. She gets passed too easily. So I think Ribas is going to have success here. But from just a side perspective, honestly, I hope we see improvements from Rodriguez in that capacity because I really like the girl.
Yeah, I can't really dispute anything there. I mean, I think we all know it's either Ribas having wrestling success and dominating or kind of vice versa. So we go on. We got another weird fight on the main card. We got Matt the Steamroller Frivola somehow 8-1-1 against Atman Azaitar. Andrew, I'll start with you. What do you got?
Throw this my way. I mean, guys, what are we doing here? Atman Azaitar is KO 1 or bust in this fight, and they have him the betting favorite. I mean, this is blowing my fucking mind. I mean, the guy, like, is fighting some can a couple of years ago on the regional scene, giving up takedowns, gassing out after 7 minutes. Matt Frivola has legit UFC wins. I mean, this guy has less than a round of octagon time, and his wins are over Timu Packlin and Karma Worthy. I think this line is insane. I think Matt Frivola should be a decent-sized favorite here. I think Frivola's sub at plus 600 or whatever the hell I got that is insane. I think Frivola is going to get takedowns here. I think Atman Azaitar is KO 1 or bust. I think Frivola is going to submit him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with just about everything you said. I guess the question really becomes, at what rate does Azaitar put him out in round 1? There's a decent round 1 prop out there for him. I think you could play it both ways or potentially play Azaitar round 1 and live bet Frivola as well. It's unfortunate because I appreciate Matt Frivola's energy and enthusiasm and willingness to optimize his best way to win. Unfortunately, his brother is completely unbearable on Twitter, which makes rooting for him like very tough. I took some serious heat when he was supposed to fight Frank Camacho. It was really bizarre, but yeah, I generally agree with everything you said, Andrew. Like, I kind of think pricing is Azaitar better than like mean, 40% on the generous end for a KO is crazy. So yeah, I think Frivola should be the favorite. I haven't bet it yet. I'm kind of looking at that as Atar round 1. Maybe play that with Frivola or just live bet him. But yeah, Luke, how about you?
So I definitely hear all those points. Honestly, Azatar just kind of seems to me he's going to be another one of these guys that falls into the anomalous type category that just turns out to be a bonfire to bet against. But then again, you can definitely make a lot of solid arguments for Frivola in that. But I do have like this, like, you know, my tinfoil Eddie Bravo hat conspiracy on, in terms of, like, at least when you look in terms of when Frivola is, you know, shooting a lot more takedowns, you know, he's like shooting them against Jalen Turner, he's shooting them against Luis Pena, two guys that are like a lot bigger and a lot longer than him. So like that has to 100% be his game plan. But if you look at the Polo Reyes fight, didn't necessarily come out there and shoot takedowns, got his ass knocked out, didn't go super heavy even against Flores early. And then against Venata stuffed a lot of stuff early on. And, you know, he still attempted, I think, a decent amount of takedowns in that fight, but kind of really moderately gave up. And then, you know, we saw a big back and forth exchange. So my thing is like, I guess it more so if you're on the Frivola side, do you trust Frivola to just come out within the first minute and start shooting takedowns? Because to me, I think there's multiple data points to suggest that he's content to sit there and just trade with guys on the feet too, and he has absolutely no striking defense. So against a guy like a Zaitar, who, you know, isn't very technical in what he does, but is accurate, has power, I'm more so, I guess, on the side of knocks him out. But yeah, I guess I'm not laying minus 150 on it. If you are to bet it straight, I think Frivola's the side just because he has more upside to win minutes. But then again, I think, you know, in the times we have seen Azatar taken down, I don't think he's looked terrible in doing so, but Frivola is probably the best wrestler grappler he's fought. So I hear that, but it's really a fight I want no part of.
See?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Frivola, you know, if you take him, sub's good. Maybe, I don't know what round 3 sub is. That's also likely probably nice. Azatar, yeah, I mean, I think he's pretty limited in the sense, like, his win conditions, like, strongly tied toward a round 1 finish. So, like, to be a favorite, like, you kind of, like, in that scenario, like, I feel like his round 1 favorite, or his round 1 knockout, like, it seems like, you know, I think he's getting like plus 400, but like really to like justify his line, I feel like it almost needs to be like I don't know, plus 200, maybe plus 175 type outcome. And like, you know, do you really think that's the case? I don't know. I mean, Frivola's striking defense is pretty meh. I mean, he's hittable. Azatar, you know, like Luke said, like, he doesn't have technique, but I mean, the guy hits hard, and he'll just swarm you. So yeah, I mean, I think Frivola probably the side, but like, again, like, I don't, you know, hard to cap something like a round 1 knockout, like, and saying it's like a 25% outcome for the fight, but like, that's kind of, I don't know. I think Frivola is going to get fucking steamrolled, but I have no interest in playing it. If I was playing Frivola, I'd rather just play the sub because Azatar is going to gas out. So,
can I say one more thing about this fight?
Yeah, go for it.
You're just going to have to take my word for it, but Matt Frivola knows what to do here. He knows what the game plan is.
You talk to his brother?
With the manager?
You're just going to have to take my word for it.
Hey man, if he comes out here and starts shooting takedowns in the first minute of the fight, I think you're probably sitting pretty on a bet. I'll say that right now.
We move on. We got Jessica I taking on Joanne Calderwood. I don't have a strong opinion here. I mean, I think there's probably value on I, but I've been down this road before, and I'm comically awful at betting WMMA. And it just feels like one of those things where everything looks like it should sort of favor I. She's the bigger girl. She's going to go forward. She's probably going to hit harder. But Calderwood throws a lot of strikes. She attempts a lot of takedowns. It's just like it's very easy for me to envision the scenario where Calderwood, even if we think she's losing the fight, she's edging rounds on the cards just by landing last-minute takedowns here. I think Guy's the better fighter, but, like, yeah, I just don't have a lot of interest in it. I think Guy probably boxes her up. But, again, high-volume striking match where one girl's got grappling upside in a women's fight. I'm just passing on it. Luke, how about you?
Yeah, so not like a super strong take, but I actually do have a bet on this fight. I actually made it today. I got a unit on I by decision at plus 170. I think the line just makes absolutely no sense for a lot of the reasons that, it's probably just, a pretty back and forth type striking battle where I actually favor I in the boxing. I don't really know why I's decision line is so high and Calderwood's decision line is like essentially near even. It just is something that makes no sense to me. And I think this is honestly a fight where the stats in both the striking and grappling are completely lying to you personally. Like obviously JoJo, I think lands like almost double the strikes as I in exponentially more successful in the takedowns. But I guess my core component of why I'm making this bet is Jessica is willing to come forward and attempt strikes in moderately high volume, and her boxing, isn't overtly technical, but she's aggressive in doing so. Because of that, she goes out there, out volumes Caitlin Chukagian. Not many girls do that. She goes out there, out volumes our Ujo. Not many girls can do that. So to me, it's like, does JoJo just like keep her off with the teep for 15 minutes, or does she go to those takedowns? But at the end of the day, actually, when you watch JoJo get takedowns, she's actually not great in terms of control. And so I think that's actually where Jessica is going to have opportunities to get back up. Jessica has been controlled before, but by exponentially better wrestlers. McMahon, Misha Tate, Calvillo, the list goes on and on. She's fought a lot better wrestlers. Ultimately, it's a bet I'm willing to lose. It could be a dumpster fire, which is honestly kind of what I'm anticipating and hoping for, aka where both girls I don't really think have passed a finish. So you're going to give me plus 170 on a back and forth, pitter patter WMMA fight, or plus 170, I should say. I'm all about it. I'm willing to lose those bets, boys.
See?
Yeah. Sometimes I just choose some fights that I'm really not interested in and I just really don't want to look at. And, I'll look to see like in the Discord if like somebody really has a strong opinion and makes it seem like it's worth it. And I saw some people talking about so I was like, all right, maybe I'll just take some time out of my day and watch it. And I put on Calderwood first. She was fighting Chukagian, and after like 2 minutes, I was just like, yeah, it's definitely not worth my time. I don't want to win or lose any money watching these people scream. So like, I'm gonna pass. I just don't care. I don't know. There could be value somewhere, but this is a fight I have zero fucking interest in. And also Jessica I like. Come on. Who the fuck wants to root for her? Even if I had, even if I thought she was a huge favorite, I'd rather just fucking donate money to fucking some charity than bet on Jessica I.
Andrew?
Pass on my end. I don't have anything to add.
I thought you were going to be the one to come in here and say you had a bet on Jessica.
You guys pretty much covered everything. All of my thoughts. Pass.
All right. We got fun club main event. We got Dan Hooker, Michael Chandler. Luke, you want to start here?
Yeah, no strong opinion. I guess I'll keep it brief. I think if people jumped in on Chandler when he was around that 40%, I think that was the play for this fight. But, it is interesting in the sense that, Dan Hooker, pretty solid takedown defense. Chandler, probably the best wrestler he's fought. So, does Chandler land takedowns here? I actually think he does. And even if he doesn't, I think he's probably more live to grind a guy like Hooker more so than anybody else. And I think an interesting consideration too, I think it was AMG that brought it up. I mean, Dan Hooker's taken a ton of damage in his last two fights. So despite a guy, who's largely been durable, man, Michael Chandler hits hard. He's explosive, but I guess really where the fight comes down to me, at least when it's at space, Dan Hooker's a pretty big lightweight. Chandler isn't, the biggest guy in terms of stature. So Chandler, it comes down to really how he closes distance, because if he does not close it effectively, I think Dan Hooker is probably just live to, counter him all day and probably pick him apart, especially his leg. You can say what you want about the one fight, where his leg died, but even there's other multiple fights, even the first Benson Henderson fight where, his legs getting eaten up too. So he's shown a propensity to not check leg kicks. Hooker's going to throw leg kicks. So to me, it comes down to can Chandler get inside? If he does, what does he do with it there? I'm more so on the side that he does, but not a super confident take. I think at current price, the fight's a pass. But if you got it on Chandler early, I think that was the bet.
See?
I think in this case, I think Chandler has like a pretty, he has like a cleaner, hindsight big favorite type upside wrestling. Will he do it? I don't know. I mean, is that going to be his game plan? I hope so. If he comes out there and really, forces Dan to think and, draw out some reactions with some level changes and whatnot. So I think Chandler, like, I understand both sides. One, I think Dan at distance really probably is just going to pick apart Chandler. I don't really think it's even that close. Honestly, in general, on the feet, I really don't think Chandler is on the same level as Dan. But I do think if Chandler, mixes in some takedowns, that it'll be interesting. Can he control Dan? We'll see. Even if Dan gets back up and he just gets him thinking, lands one of those big hooks, overhands. So like I see it both sides. Like I don't really have a problem with a bet on either side. Like plus 150 on Chandler, probably a good bet. If you're about to get even money on Dan Hooker, also probably a good bet. I mean, I'd imagine if somebody ran some numbers fading somebody from Bellator coming to the UFC at age 34 versus a top 10, caliber UFC fighter, you're probably going to make out, 7 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10. So,
Andrew?
Yeah, this fight reminds me of last week in this of Holloway and Cater, just not stylistically, in the sense that I went back and forth on that fight between who I thought was going to win like so many times. Like I went into tape thinking Cater was going to win, and then I left tape thinking Holloway was going to win, and then I wasn't sure. I ended up playing under 4.5. Brutal beat, but it's a conversation for another day.
I had max round 4, so.
Yeah, fuck that. But anyway, I went into tape here thinking I was gonna want to bet Chandler, like when he's plus 150. I was like, the wrestling edge is big, and I was buying into that. And there's something that Chandler does. I love Chandler, by the way. Like I'm like a big fan of his. There's something he does in his striking technique that I don't like, where he kind of like almost like jumps in. It's like a little shuffle, and he kind of like goes to wing punches. Someone like long and dangerous like Hooker, like I feel like that could be like that's a dangerous game you're playing. If you're gonna do, I don't even know what to call it. It's like a little shuffle where he goes from like here to here like real quick and like tries to enter the pocket, and I think he could get clipped coming in doing that. Also, like the weird ankle thing he's had for all these years, like C said, 34 coming in from Bellator. Hooker, on the other hand, though, it's like look at who Hooker's fought, like Poirier striker, Felder striker, Iaquinta the striker, Vic striker, Barboza striker. Like those are his last 5 fights. Like so, it's like Chandler's a serious wrestler. Like we're gonna see what happens. Like it's a little bit of an unknown there. So that's I guess I'm just kind of spewing shit at this point. But that's kind of why I went back and forth. I feel like if you put a gun to my head right now, I'd pick Hooker. But if you ask me tomorrow, my mind might be changed.
Yeah, fair. I kind of feel similarly. I actually bet Chandler plus 150 for a unit. One of the things that coming into a tape, I was like, I'm probably going to lean Hooker. Level of competition's been way better. But then I went back and like looked at it, and it's like, yeah, he fought Poirier just recently, but I mean, he lost that fight. And before that, like, I mean, I don't particularly rate Felder as high as most, just personally. And if you look at the rest of it, like, he beat Burns at 55, but, like, fight ended pretty quick. You know, Vic, Iaquinta, Jim Miller, Mark Chikasi. I don't know. I actually think level of competition has been relatively similar, to be honest. I think it's hard to evaluate Hooker's grappling. Like, obviously, it looked pretty bad against Jason Knight and against who was it? Well, Jim Miller got him down, didn't hold him there. But Yair got a ton of top time against him, which was concerning. But, you know, that was a long time ago. You know, he stuffed takedown. The best wrestlers probably fought since all that is Miller, who led him up, and Jacasey, I guess, who I don't think either of them are really on Chandler's level. So it seems like, you know, one of those fights, another one where I wouldn't say it's as binary as if it's on the feet, Hooker automatically wins. Like, obviously Chandler hits really hard, but like Andrew, you pointed it out. I think, you know, that little lunge in, like Primus hurt him with too when they fought. You know, there are going to be opportunities for him to throw those knees up the middle or clip Chandler in this fight and hurt him. And I do think standing, he'll be the minute winner. But, you know, that overhand right from Chandler is also going to be there. I just kind of more or less think that if Chandler comes in intelligently and tries to wrestle, he will get him down, likely multiple times. It's really a question of what happens once that fight hits the mat. Like, has he improved? Can he get up right away? Because if he can, he's probably going to look like, you know, a pretty significant favorite. If he can't, Chandler's going to look like a favorite. So, again, confidence interval not super high. I kind of think it's around evens, maybe slightly in Chandler. So, took a small shot at him here. Luke, did you touch on this already?
Yeah.
All right. So, we go to the most anticipated fight of the year. We got the main event. Before we do it, I'm just going to say real quick, we are brought to you by Bet Online. Use the promo code CLUBSUB. Go to Bet Online. If it's your first deposit, you get 50% off for up to $1,000. Bet Online is the best book for MMA right now, outside of maybe FanDuel, if you're in New Jersey. But anyway, yeah, here we go. Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor. See, what do you got?
Man, fuck everybody who doesn't like McGregor. That's my boy. I don't know how the fuck you can't like that guy. Like, whatever. I'm a big McGregor fan. I like him. I bet him. I think it's justified. I got some knockout round one. I got some knockout. I got some under at even money. I beat all those lines because I mean, these are, you know, like Dustin Poirier, like, I get it, man. He's a good fighter. He's top of the division. You know, but like, dude, man, McGregor hits hard as fuck. And I see a lot of people who don't even like, I don't even understand how people can like think like McGregor has like a meme career. Like, I don't understand. I don't know. I can't register it. Like, people don't think, you know, the Aldo fight was good because it lasted 10 seconds, even though like in the dressing room, he's back there doing the same thing. Boom, boom. And like, it's like, oh, that was just some random thing. It's like, no, dude, he clearly, like, the guy's like very accurate, precision striker, hardest hitter at 155. I don't give a fuck if he's only fought there 2 times. The guy can fucking hit hard. Look at his knockdown rate. Like, dude, at some point you have to like justify things where like, all right, like a good example is like, I thought Figgy was like a meme fighter because he had only gone, you know, a couple rounds, like he just hadn't been tested like cardio wise, and like some of his finishes just seemed meme. But like McGregor, man, you have like this huge sample size of him having like a top 10 knockdown rate, like not knockouts. I'm talking knockdowns. He's a big hitter. Dustin Poirier gets hurt every fight early on. Every fight. Dan Hooker, Max Holloway, every fucking fight, the guy gets hurt early. Lately, he's been recovering a little bit better, but like he still gets hurt. And you're telling me that somebody as sharp as Conor on the counter, who hits as hard as Conor, is just gonna like survive that? I don't know. I don't think so. And I hate to like bring like, you know, this is like one of those things where like in my mind, I see like a round one knockout happening at like a much higher clip than I should, probably because I have like some, you know, Conor fanboy in me, but like I just see it like happening. even if it did go like an extended period of time, even if it goes an extended period of time, man, I think Conor could I don't think Dustin Poirier is a lock to out cardio Conor on output. Like I think Conor's cardio gets a little shit on for no reason. Look clean versus Khabib in round 4. Diaz fight. I mean, his output in 4 and 5 actually greater than the first 3 rounds. The first Diaz fight, yeah, sure, he got tired. Like maybe it's an anomaly. Personally, think it is. And for anyone who thinks Dustin has any type of grappling path, get fucked. You don't even know what you're watching. How can you think that guy has a grappling path here? What is his grappling path? I have no idea. What is it? Going for a fucking meme guillotine? Like, honestly, what is his grappling path? I don't think he has any success grappling McGregor. I'm on record. He has no success. He's fucking helpless here. McGregor, do whatever you want. Bet as much money as you want on McGregor. You're not going to fucking lose. Bucks need McGregor. I need McGregor. So, fucking let's roll.
Andrew.
Yeah, I think Dustin's gonna win. Conor's 1-1 at 155. Shitty cardio.
Fuck up.
Kidding. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. I think Conor's gonna win. I mean, it's funny because I actually haven't bet it yet. Like I haven't bet Conor money. Like I kind of expected. Like this fight opened like months ago. Obviously, the line for Conor fights come out super early, and like I kind of didn't know where it was gonna go, and like I didn't want money tied up for that long, and like so I didn't play him in like the -220 range, and I was kind of planning on like hitting that pretty hard, and the money is just poured in on Conor. I posted something on Twitter today. I'm not sure if you guys saw where like the line opened at like -180, which all the way down to like -3 something, and I was like, what happened? Like where are all these people that were like 1-1 at 155, shitty cardio, shitty grappling? Dustin's a different fighter. Like it's all bullshit. Like most of these people don't actually believe what they're saying, and they're just talking shit to talk shit. But I think Conor's gonna win. I think if I had to guess, I would say first round knockout. But like I could see it being like the Eddie fight too, where he just kind of knocks him down once and takes his time and just picks his shots. But I see him putting Dustin away. And should I go on my rant about why I think he should be high on the pound for pound all-time list? Or is that
Go for it.
All right, so I kind of alluded to this on Twitter today, but Conor going up, like Conor at 145 fucking killed everyone. He fought Mendes on short notice with his knee ripped off, with his muscle ripped off the bone. That was his toughest fight at 45, Mendes. Aldo he killed. Holloway he tossed around. Cyber he killed. Poirier he knocked out in the first round. He could have stayed at 145. He could have fought Uriah Faber, Ricardo Lamas. He could have given Aldo a rematch. He could have fought Frankie Edgar. And it's like, instead he went up to challenge himself. And I think he gets a lot of shit sometimes. Sorry, I almost choked on my gum. I'm going on a rant here. So he went right from 145 to 170, which is hard as hell to do. And Nate Diaz has a tough style for him. He's bigger than most 55ers. He has a crazy good chin. His cardio's sick. He has good jiu-jitsu. And it was just a tough style matchup for him. And he blew his load on short notice and lost the fight and came back and beat him in a really good fight. And then his other loss at 155 is to Khabib, who a lot of people say is the pound-for-pound best fighter of all time. So it's like, I just think a lot of people emphasize that whole like I'll use Khabib, for example, and like before everyone starts coming at me, I'm not hating on Khabib. I'm just saying Khabib stayed at 155 and fought Gaethje and fought Poirier. Khabib didn't go up to 170 and try to fight Usman. He didn't take a fight with Whitaker. He didn't go up 2 weights and fight Whitaker. Like Conor went up 2 weights and fought Diaz. I get it. Before people come after me, it's not the exact same thing. And I'm not saying Khabib isn't one of the best fighters of all time. I'm just saying I think Conor is too low on most people's pound-for-pound list because I think they look more towards like the record rather than like the strength of schedule and how much he's actually like challenged himself over the years. That's the end of my rant. I'll stop it right there.
No, it's hard to disagree, and I think we all know that if Khabib stops running, he's going to probably put him in the ground in a rematch. I'm just saying, we'll see. But I do think that's a closer fight than people think. You know what's funny? It's like, I really, really tried when looking into this fight. I'm a huge Conor fan. I really tried to find another angle. I hate talking about things like they're automatic. I mean, just look what happened to everybody that bet Munir Lazez yesterday.
Alves sub and Alves sub 1. Fucking shitty beats, dude.
I had that, and I had the money line, fortunately. But like seriously, it seems like more often than not when everybody aligns to one side that like there's usually something that everybody is missing. Like it's not a coincidence. But Conor is a different breed, like Andrew, you touched on a bit, and plus like the guy attracts money from people who have never been MMA in their life. Like it's just he's always going to end up on one yes. And he's always going to end up on one side here. And you know, I was saying this to Luke before you guys joined the chat, but something that made me kind of think about, and it's a different fight because they're different styles of fighters, but Adesanya Costa, like I kind of convinced myself that like Costa had a chance in that fight. I think a lot of people did. And really it's similar because there's just different levels of striking. Like Poirier's a good striker, but he's really kind of an aggro boxer who's going to go forward. It's pretty much if you designed a fighter in the lab to just eat shots on the dome over and over and over again for Conor, it's Dustin Poirier. The big difference between Dustin Poirier and Nate Diaz is that Diaz's dome is made of cement. Like the guy can just eat shots forever and not go down. We see Poirier get hurt all the time. Like I would go as far as to say Conor wins the first 2 rounds if he doesn't finish at like a close to 80% clip. And I think, you know, I'm not going to get into the cardio thing. You guys touched on it. It's just you're telling me Dustin's going to reverse sweep him? Did anybody see Dustin with his hands on his hips halfway into the 3rd round against Dan Hooker? You know, he was gassing it bad against Holloway. It's just that he hurt Holloway. He kept hurting him in each round in rounds that he was clearly losing. Like it's one of those things. Like I respect Dustin. I respect the output. He is not Max Holloway when it comes to cardio. He has, I'd say, probably similar gas to Conor. And if it comes to Conor up 2-0, I'm pretty like I favor Conor in a decision, which I know sounds crazy. And I think a knockout is the most likely outcome here. And so it's like, as much as I try to find a hole here, the best I can come up with for why this would be wide is maybe because Conor's been so inactive. He's not the fighter he was. But everything speaks to the contrary that we see, and I hate talking about narratives, but he looks like he's in the best shape of his life. Like the guy looks fucking stacked right now. Like he looks like a welterweight, to be honest.
I mean, he still fought last year. Like I know it was 60
seconds. So it's
I know it was 42 seconds, but dude, people are making it seem like he's had like a 4-year layoff. But like in reality, he had a fight camp for Cerrone. It's not just about getting in there for fucking 30 minutes, 25 minutes. He went through a fight camp with Cerrone last year. You know, it's like
no, I believe me, I agree.
Like,
I'm just trying to
level of like his level of activity. Like, yeah, sure, it hasn't been there, but like, I mean, he had a fight camp for Cerrone. I mean, here again, look, he wanted to fight like 3 times last year. COVID happened, fucked everybody, and then you know he's been in camp for the last 3 months. Like, I don't know. I think activity though is like different if you're injured. Like Pons, Cruz, like those guys are coming off shitty injuries.
Yeah.
Conor's just coming off a 4-year fucking coke binge, so like whatever.
I agree. I just don't see it. Like I can see DP winning. Like he is at the end of the day, it's a kickboxing match and he hits hard. But again, Conor's been ultra durable throughout his career, and Poirier really hasn't. It's just if he wins, he wins. It's a cage fight at the end of the day, but I think there's a better chance of Conor looking -4 to 500 than there is of DP looking evens or a favorite, to be honest. I'm not going to get into what?
People are going to clip this and be like, oh, more Conor fanboys are like podcast how good he is. Like you see those memes where like it's like 4 people and they're like kids talking about Conor McGregor. Someone's going to clip this and make it like that.
Bring it on. I'm ready for it. I'm not going to say the person's name because I don't really want to call people out. But I got into it with someone the other day who was trying to say it's like 55% and that Dustin's a better grappler. And like, look, we don't need to get into all the specifics, but it's like all I can say is if that's your take, you probably haven't wrestled or put a gi on and probably don't know what you're talking about. Like that's really it's really that simple. Like I don't – Dustin attempted 7 takedowns against Dan Hooker and didn't look good on a single entry. That's all I'll get to. Anyway, Luke, I'll let you go. Conor by first knockout.
Well, yeah, you guys pretty much dissected this thing to a pulp, but yeah, I probably should have yanked Magic's chain a little bit and said Dustin Poirier is the second coming of Christ here, and people are all fucking morons for betting Conor. But no, you guys are right. And I guess my big thing here is that, that I think the best term you used in that, John, was like that aggro boxing of Poirier, where it's like, even at a moderately elite level, just because he's a guy who can take so much damage, that's what works for him. Bro, against a guy like Conor, it's like that bullshit just that's just not going to work. You're not going to sit there and just bully Conor, and people talking about like, oh, Diaz or whatever. Once again, Andrew fucking ran through that whole rap sheet about why that was kind of somewhat bullshit in the sense. And then he even talked about C said, he outlanded him even in 4 and 5, or I'm sorry, he attempted more in 4 and 5 and actually won a decision in the fight, which nobody really wants to acknowledge, that went over the course of 25 minutes. So it's like, to me, we have the potential narrative of, Dustin long or whatever, that gives him his best chance to win. It's like, I agree, it gives him his best chance to win, but I'm also kind of with you too, John, that I still think, well, one, he's going to be climbing an uphill battle because he's going to be dropping the first 2. I think that's probably pretty fair to say. And one thing I will say is that I've seen a couple takes, on Twitter that, Conor's minus 150, Conor's, minus 200. All I want to say to those people right now, wear your fucking Dustin tickets, bro. Cause I'm hearing this take a little too often now. I'm hearing that, this fight should be closer. Well, put your fucking money where your mouth is. I better be seeing these Dustin tickets. But at the end of the day, man, I think, this isn't to bury Dustin. I think Dustin's a great fighter. But at the end of the day, Conor's just an absolutely terrible stylistic matchup. Like you said, that aggro boxing just isn't going to work with the footwork, the movement, the power, the precision, speed. It's just, it's a bad matchup for Dustin. Am I laying minus 300 on Conor? No, but I think if you got in, on Conor around that minus 220 range, I think that's a solid, 3, 4, 5, even max bet right there.
Yeah, and I don't want anybody talking shit after McGregor knocks him out in fucking 2 minutes, saying how this is a fucking easy bullshit fight again.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all that's going to happen. Everybody thinks he's going to knock him out, and then fucking everyone's going to be like, oh, it was some bullshit fucking bullshit fight, this and that, and not give any respect to fucking McGregor. So, yeah.
Bro, I got ahead of the game with that. Like 2 weeks. I'm trying to find the tweet. Like
I saw it.
I'm trying to find it. Like right while we're sitting here. Okay. It says some people will spend the next few weeks, maybe longer, trying to discredit Dustin Poirier. So let me set the record straight. 10-2 since the last Conor fight. Interim world champ, head-to-head and wins over Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, Anthony Pettis. The guy's a stud. So I don't want to see people saying like, "Oh, Dustin isn't all that." If Conor beats him,
yeah, fucking pin that.
Tweet. Like plus 350 against Khabib. I'm not going to get into a breakdown for a fight that's not happening yet. But let's just say I have opinions about that first fight that it was not.
I think
as easy as people think, to be honest.
I think the books are making a play on McGregor themselves, and they're just like, if you read some reports, like the last time McGregor fought Cerrone, they needed McGregor. So I do think the books somewhat like make a bet on McGregor themselves and are just moving the line. Not necessarily because there's a bunch of McGregor money coming in, which there is, but I honestly think the books like want a large, it wouldn't surprise me if a couple books like moved Poirier to like plus 350, just so you just get Dustin money flowing in, and then they need Conor, and no book's going to be like, I think every operator will be happy to be in a position to need Conor McGregor.
Yeah. And just real quick, I don't disagree with this, that the every side can't be correct theory is dumb. It is. What I'm saying is usually if the line is not moving and all you see is people talking about being one side, it means there's a lot of people with a lot of money not talking about it out loud on the other side. It's usually a pretty good indicator. But anyway, yeah, that's our breakdown. Once again, guys, we're brought to you by Bet Online. They're really the best MMA book out there. They have a bunch of really cool props for this McGregor fight. A lot of cool stuff like first fighter to bleed, will it end in 60 seconds, next opponent, stuff of that nature. So once again, go on there, use the promo code CLUBSUB, get up to 50% bonus on your first deposit. And yeah, Andrew, thanks for coming on. You can find him at MMA Knockout Bets at Bets and Picks MMA. You want to give a quick shout out to what you do?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. Always a good time chatting with you guys. Like you said, my Twitter is at Bets and Picks MMA. That's pretty much it. Tell Bet Online to let me have my account back because
They banned you?
not like banned me. Like a year or two ago, they were like, "Oh, we're not letting people from New Jersey like
I can't get on it.
stay in the book." And I was like, "All right, well, I moved. Like I live in New York. I live in New York, so like." What and they like were like, oh, you need to send like all kinds of like proof of like bills and stuff. I'm like, dude, I rent an apartment out in New York City. Like I don't have all this shit. Like I just withdrew all my money from them. And I even asked someone recently, like this is like a year or two ago, but like a week or two ago, I even like just to see, I was like, is it still a thing that like New Jersey residents can't
it's fun. I mean, I can't get on it either, unfortunately, which is brutal since they're always the first book to open. So,
we've done it 5 times and we can't use either of them. So,
betanysports.eu. I just found this together. I'll message you. I'll DM you about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, guys. Scott Stargarian. You can find me on Twitter at MMA Fox, Luke at SWR_betting, and C at CHanson10. And Andrew, thanks again. Take it easy, everybody. Let's go, Connor.
Let's go.
Yeah.